Hello everyone. It feels weird to write a post here, but I guess I'm, as they say, desperate. I need a place to get something off of my chest, and a little advice from the internet strangers might be exactly what I need right now. Let me go ahead and, I guess start with a bit of background. A bit about me: I'm 21 and female. I've had a fairly comfortable life, that is, until a month ago. I grew up in a loving middle-class family. I'm well aware that I'm more privileged than most people. We lived in a cozy suburban home with a white picket fence, the kind you see in movies. My parents worked hard to provide for me and made sure I had everything that I needed. So I'm a mixed race baby. My father is black and my mother has fair skin with blue eyes and freckles. Yes, it may be weird to describe my parents like this, but this is information that will be very relevant later. I inherited my mom's fair skin and blue eyes and freckles. The only trace of my dad's genes seemed to be my slightly curly hair. To be honest, I've always thought that genetics were as simple as a mix and a match game. Growing up, I never questioned my appearance, although a few people around me do bring up the fact that we have nothing in common appearance-wise. Sure, I didn't look exactly like him, but I'd say we're close, and I saw pieces of him in me. My parents had also set aside a substantial trust fund for my future. They were always crystal clear that education was going to be very important and number one, and they just wanted to ensure I had the resources to pursue my dreams, whatever they might be. All in all, you can say that I had a comfortable childhood, and I guess a sense of security that came from knowing my parents were always there for me. However, that doesn't mean that there has never been family drama. There was always this underlying tension between my mom and my aunt and my dad's sister. My aunt had what you can call a questionable lifestyle. I'll have to admit, I don't really like her either, and not just because of what I've heard from my mom. From a young age, I've already recognized a few of her toxic patterns that I did not think a functional adult should have. There was so many instances that stood out vividly in my memory. One Thanksgiving, she showed up drunk and started arguing with everybody at the table, eventually knocking over a vase of flowers onto the turkey. She was laughing and making comments like, "That turkey would taste like plastic gravy anyways." My mom, who had spent all day cooking, and was furious, and it took all of my dad's patience to calm the situation down. Another time, during a family reunion, my aunt announced loudly that she had lost her job because her boss was a, quote, idiot, who did not appreciate her skill. Only for us to later find out that she was fired for not showing up to work multiple times. At that point, my mom had tried to help her out on numerous occasions, guys, offering to babysit my cousin and even giving her money to pay the bills. So, understandably, she was furious that my aunt could not care less about keeping her job. Most of my aunt's dramatic outbursts were caused by her spontaneous drinking. When she got divorced and her husband left, oh boy, it only grew worse and worse. You see, she seemed bitter and angry at the world, and I often wondered how my father and she could be siblings. But things were not that bad between me and my aunt, because I didn't see her very often. My aunt and cousins lived in a different city, and we only really talked to each other during family events, which happens maybe 3 or 4 times a year. So, a few months ago, my grandfather, he passed away. His death was not a shock because he's been struggling with quite a few health issues for several years, and we all knew what it was, it's probably time. The problem here was that the subsequent dispute over his estate turned our family upside down. My aunt was practically vocal about who should inherit what, and she felt entitled to a larger share. She had financial troubles for years, and guys, to be completely honest, I feel like she saw my grandfather's estate as her ticket out of this mess. My mom was incredibly annoyed too, because my aunt chose the worst time to announce her thoughts. During my grandfather's funeral, it took my dad a lot of patience to calm both of them down. My mom is a feisty woman, after all, and I guess at this point she can't hide the fact that she hates her sister-in-law's guts. Now, here's where it gets very, very complicated. After the fight during my grandfather's funeral, my aunt started questioning my legitimacy. Loudly, repeatedly, she pointed out that I looked nothing like my father, which understandably made everybody uncomfortable. Honestly, it didn't bother me very much. At first, I just never thought it would go beyond words. I thought it was just another one of her outbursts when she was drunk. Something that would blow over, but she didn't stop. She insisted she wants a paternity test, and my parents, perhaps trying to prove her wrong, put an end to her accusations. Well, they agreed. They said that they have nothing to hide, so my aunt took me to a clinic. My parents didn't even bother to come with us, big mistake. They were just confident, and they had reassured me that the night before that it was just formality. Well, as it turned out, we all spoke too soon. When the results came back, it felt like the ground had been pulled from underneath me. The test claimed that I was indeed not my father's biological daughter. My parents demanded a redo, convinced that there was a mistake, they've been duped. But the second test yielded the same results, and I felt like this was a nightmare. I could not wake up from it. Everything I believed about my identity was suddenly in question. The fallout was immediate, and oh boy, was it brutal. My part of the inheritance was frozen pending further investigation. My parents started to fight, and my dad was hurt and angry as he questioned my mother if she was a cheater. My mom was very defensive, instigating and saying that she had been faithful, blaming him for taking my aunt's words. Well, I was just caught in the middle of all this, and I have absolutely no idea what to do now. My aunt made it clear that she believed my mom had cheated, and that I was not a legitimate heir, talking about how I look nothing like him. I know this is not a legit argument. I learned about genetics at school, and from what I could remember, traits can skip generations, and two people can share DNA and still look nothing alike. But no amount of reading could change the results of the test. Well, my mom just moved to my grandparents' house yesterday because she could not stand my dad's constant questioning. I'm staying here with him, but I feel terrible about it. I don't know what to do now. If I go with my mom, that also feels like picking a side against my dad. This feels like they're going to get a divorce. I mean, guys, is there anything I can do to help fix this situation? Please, I beg you to give me some advice. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. I smell something fishy in the air. I don't know about this DNA test, guys. There is multiple updates, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's hop into the first update. It does not say exactly how long it came out after the update, but it just says, well, thanks for the responses after a few days. Update number 1. First of all, I understand where you're coming from. I'm not denying the fact that it sucks for my mom to feel just like the whole family is against her. For a short while, anywho. It's just that everything's such a mess right now, and I don't know what to think or how to feel. I don't have the energy to pack my things to go anywhere else. I'm exhausted, mentally, emotionally, and the thoughts of leaving or picking sides, it feels impossible right now. I'm also in college and my final exams are coming up, so there's only so much that I can handle at once. Of course, that's not to say it's an excuse for me to be an outsider or something. I'm still in touch with my mother, and we talk almost every day. I tell her about what's going on, and she tells me that she loves me and misses me, and it's hard because I know that she's going through so much, and I just feel guilty for not being able to do more. But I'm hopeful, because I have a few ideas I've been saving up money for during my part-time job. And my parents give me a monthly allowance, so I have some funds to use if needed. I'm thinking about using that money to help out in a way that I can. Maybe to pay for another paternity test or help my mom with a legal fee. If it's ever coming down to a divorce. I just hope that doesn't happen, though. Despite everything, my father is still really sweet to me. He sat me down and told me that I'm always going to be his daughter no matter what those silly tests say. He said that it mattered more to him that he was there in my life, from the moment I was born to every step of the way till now. So, whatever happens, he's always going to be my dad. Someone I could turn to when things get hard. Hearing that was a relief, because, well, that means there's still hope for the family. I think. I don't know if I'm being delusional, because my aunt certainly does not at all share the same thoughts as me. She keeps visiting and trying to stir up trouble. Well, get this. 2 days ago, she was here to drop off some good food now that there's no woman in the house. As if my dad and I don't know how to take care of ourselves. Come on. When I was upstairs, I could actually just hear my aunt trying to convince my father to throw me out and let me be with my real father. But he won't have any of it. He's very, very protective of me, and I can tell it hurts to see him like this. Our family is in great turmoil. I've told my mom about how my dad's been standing up for me, and I think it softens her heart a little. She's always been hot-headed, quick to anger, but never, ever unfaithful, and you know what? I trust her, and I 100% completely believe every word she says. This whole situation is just a nightmare, and I wish there was an easy solution for this, guys. But for now, all I can do is take things one day at a time. Keep talking to my parents, and I hope that we can find a way to get through this together. By the way, I do agree that we need another test. I just need to figure out how to do that without my aunt knowing. I could ask some friends at school to, I don't know, maybe help me out. Well, I'll keep you guys updated about what's next. Once again, thank you everybody for the support. Update number 2. I've decided to write another post because there's some pretty big news, guys. I feel like everything has just completely changed in the last week, and I think I finally found a way out of this mess. So I reached out to my friend, let's just call her Sarah. I've heard once or twice that her mom is a gynecologist, so I figured that she might have connections that could help me. Sarah was very supportive, and in a day or so, I got myself in touch with an expert. It was her mom. I went to lunch to discuss the whole situation. See, Sarah's mom recommended a private medical expert to conduct a thorough analysis, and I decided to go through with it. You know, it was pretty expensive, but in my head, it's well worth it. Come on. This time, I didn't tell anybody about it, not even my parents, and guess what? Surprise, surprise, the results are in. I'm my father's biological daughter. There's no doubt that I am, and guys, during that lunch, Sarah's mom also shared some information about the lab where my aunt took me for the paternity test. Apparently, it has a very sketchy reputation that might accept briberies. I mean, they have 2 stars on Google review. She told me that a few years ago it was sued, and they almost had to close it, but then they moved their clinic to a different city, changed the head doctor, and somehow, boom, it's back in business, baby. All in all, she would not trust the place. It was completely possible that my aunt had paid someone to swap the samples or tamper with the results. Her words hit me like an absolute ton of bricks. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Well, I was relieved that there was a plausible explanation for the nightmare that we were living, but so mad at my aunt for being such a manipulative jerk. So I sort of came up with a plan. I needed to confront the head doctor at the lab and get access to the documents that my aunt had falsified. I knew that that would absolutely be what they call a long shot. But hey, I couldn't just sit back and do nothing. But I need somebody who understood the law and helps me talk to him. I feel like a 20-something angry woman alone doesn't have much chance to scare him into speaking the truth. So that's what I'm figuring out right now. I haven't told anybody about this. The more I'm involved in this mess, the better. I understand why there's friction between my mom and dad. Well, they love each other, and they love me, but my dad's just trusting my aunt way, way too much, and my mom simply does not have the patience to try to convince him otherwise. She just lashes out every time my aunt is up to something. But not my father. No matter how problematic my aunt is, she still is his little sister. He wants to take care of her and be there for her when she makes mistakes, so I don't want to act without thinking everything through perfectly clear. I mean, does that make me the bad guy? I'll let you guys know once something actually happens. Meanwhile, if one of you happen to be a lawyer, oh boy, would that help a lot. Update number 3. Guys, when I tell you you're not going to believe this, well, you're not going to believe this. What I just found out. The last week has been literally insane. I don't know how I got involved in this mess, but here it goes. So Sarah's mom found me a lawyer. This was the same one who worked on the last case where somebody else also sued the exact clinic for falsifying the test results. The lawyer was living in a different city, but she was a friend of Sarah's mom. I also offered to pay for her transportation, accommodation, plus hourly fees if that's what she wants. Well, so yeah, I'm kind of broke right now and I don't really have the money to pay for her fee if, it actually comes to lawsuit. But when it happens, I've decided that I'll take out a loan. I have to bet on this with everything that I have. I mean, we went to the clinic pretending to be patients so we can have one-on-one time with Mr. Head Doctor himself. Well, Yeah. This guy did not recognize the lawyer at first, but he soon realized we were not there for any health checkup. I told him the truth about why I was there, and threatened to sue him if he did not let me see the documents. See, I gave him two choices: collaborate with me or risk losing his entire clinic. At first, he didn't even take me serious, not even for 1 second. He probably thought I was just a desperate kid making empty threats. But then, I played my trump card. My lawyer showed him the documents, though she still kept from the best lawsuit. The former head doctor is still in prison. Yep, that's right, she has that, and he's there. That's enough to tell him that we're ready to take legal action if necessary, and when the doctor saw my lawyer standing there confidently backing me up, I guess you can say that made him start to worry. He knew that even the hint of a lawsuit could damage his reputation and potentially shut down his entire clinic. Well, with that being said, after a few intense moments, he finally agreed to cooperate, and he handed over everything that, well, I'm talking every file with my family name on it. Now here's why it gets very, very interesting at this point. I did not realize that my aunt and I share the same last name. Strange. She switched back to her maiden name when her husband left, so basically when I asked for everything with my name on it, well, it means her files too. Can you believe that? Yep. While digging through the documents and records, I found something about her that I never really expected. It turned out that my cousin, my aunt's child, was not her biological offspring. My aunt's infertile and had secretly adopted my cousin. She falsified a test just to prove the biological connection right there at the shady clinic. Guys, I was stunned. Absolutely stunned. I sat there staring at the document in disbelief. But I guess it makes sense. I've heard that my aunt fought with her ex-husband constantly about the fact that it took them so long to conceive. Maybe he did not want to adopt, or he didn't want to lie to the entire family. That was the reason why he decided to leave. Well, my aunt might have wanted to ensure that she and her child would still receive a portion of my grandfather's inheritance. When I think about it, my grandfather did have a particularly negative opinion about adopting. I love him, but many of his opinions are so just ridiculous and outdated. Guys, he's from a different time. Well, after all, I knew it would not be easy, but I'll need to figure out a way to let everyone know about what I've discovered. The truth, it just simply needs to come out. My family deserves to know what kind of person my aunt truly was. So yeah, the next few weeks are going to be crazy, but I'll keep you guys updated. Update number 4. Hello, it's me again. So many of you checked in on me, and that's sweet. I feel like I've really made some friends here, but anyways, back to the main topic at hand. Long story short, I did let everyone know about exactly what I found out. Honestly, it was nerve-wracking. I rehearsed what I would say over and over in my head. I wanted to make sure I presented the facts clearly and calmly, without letting my emotions get the best of me, and yes, it was very hard. I asked Sarah's mom and my lawyer to help with the proof. My lawyer has to be the loveliest person ever because a few days after we met, she sent me a voice recording of our recording meeting with the head doctor. Turns out she keeps a recorder on her at all times. Well, yeah, she told me to only show it to my family, though, in case we have to sue the clinic later. I gathered my parents and aunts and a few other close relatives who needed to hear the truth. I presented all the findings from the meeting, and funnily enough, the guy even admitted that my aunt bribed 2 nurses in the process, and in an attempt to please my lawyer, told us that he had fired both of them. Well, he was probably lying through his teeth, but the way he asked us to handle our family drama without dragging his clinic down the mud is pretty much telling of the kind of shady business that this guy has going on there. My aunt's scheme of the bribing of the nurses, the falsified paternity test, and the truth about my cousin's adoption all laid bare for everybody to witness. Well, the room was silent for a moment as everybody processed what had just gone down. Well, my aunt's face went pale as Casper, and she looked like she wanted to disappear. My dad was visibly shocked, and my other relative looked stunned and confused, struggling to wrap their heads around the revelation the whole time. My mom is secretly on the phone with me so she could hear everything that's going down. Yeah, my aunt had no choice but to admit the truth. Her secret was out, and her plans to manipulate the inheritance, well, that's ruined. My cousin looked visibly upset, and I think she's the only person I feel bad for. She left immediately while my aunt ran after her, trying to explain herself to anybody that would listen. That just happened a few days ago, so I don't really have much of an update about the fallout. My mom moved back in with us, and my parents are trying to work things out. They signed up for couple counseling, which I think that's a smart move. After all, they do have a few communication issues that they should probably work on. I'll update you on the situation soon if you guys are still interested. Final update number 5. Hey guys, sorry for taking so much time to update. I can't believe it's been 10 long months. We sort of settled in with our new lives, so I didn't have so much time. But things have been going well, and I guess this is going to be the last post. Thank you again for the support. The fallout was actually pretty intense. My aunt was disowned by the family, which came as a shock to no one, given the gravity of her action. She lost any claim to the inheritance, which was a relief to me. It felt like justice had been served, and also that means more money for everybody else. I think that this is a deserving result. My family decided to sue the clinic. With access to the inheritance, we have more than enough money to hire that lawyer and prepare for a lawsuit. To be honest, it was much easier than I thought it would be. We ended up winning 320 plus change from that lawsuit, and of course they shut down the clinic immediately. My aunt was also involved, so she had to face the consequences too. Well, fortunately for her, it's just probation. Guys, she has much larger problems cooking up at home. Her relationship with my cousin has been worse. It doesn't help that my cousin is moving to another city just to get away for college, but I guess having some distance could be nice for the two of them. The revelation about my cousin's adoption was particularly hard. She was just a kid caught in the middle of her mother's scheme. Well, and now she had to deal with the truth about her parentage and, well, on top of everything else that she has to deal with, it's ridiculous. It broke my heart to see her so confused and hurt. But we all understood that she has no fault in this. The family has been very supportive in her, and we made sure that she knew that she was loved and accepted, no matter what. My parents, who have big hearts, despite everything that happened, decided to put away a good amount of money for her college fund. So technically, she was still going to receive her part of the inheritance, just in a much different way. She seems grateful for it, and last month, she visited our house briefly and bought us a nice basket of fruit. She said that she might not be around too often anymore, but she wants to thank me personally. It was probably the last nice thing that they would ever do for my aunt, and they could not let my cousin suffer for her mother's mistakes. I thought there was going to be a weird tension between me and her, because we've never been close, and I was the one who exposed her own mom. Yeah, but it turns out she's much more understanding than I expected her to be honest with you guys. I don't know. Maybe, just maybe, we can even be friends in the future. Well, I don't know. I'm just glad she's doing well. With my part of the inheritance unfrozen, I finally had access to the resources that's been set aside for my future. It was a relief to have a financial security back, but this whole experience, honestly guys, it changed me. I realized that I wanted to use my situation to make a positive impact on others. My cousin's plight and the difficulties she faced due to her mother's actions, it made me think about how many other kids out there with a similar situation, feeling lost and absolutely unsupported. I decided to use part of my trust fund to create a scholarship for underprivileged students at my college, particularly those from divorced or low-income families. I didn't want anyone else to go through what my cousin had gone through. I wanted to give them a chance at a better future. Anyways, guys, thank you for all the help in the comments. This is probably my last post.